Theodore Roosevelt, 1859 to 1919, by Luke Masney and Juliana Shuck. Theodore Roosevelt was born on October 27, 1858, into a very wealthy family in New York City. As a boy, he was known as T.D., later called Teddy. He was frail and often very sick. His mother was Martha Bullock Roosevelt. She was an American socialite. She was the paternal grandmother of Eleanor Roosevelt, great-granddaughter of Archibald Bullock, grandniece of William Bellinger Bullock, and granddaughter of General Daniel Stewart. She was born on July 8, 1835, and died on February 14, 1884. She was one of the inspirations for the Scarlett O'Hara. His father was Theodore Roosevelt Sr. He was an American businessman and philanthropist from the Roosevelt family. He was also the paternal grandfather of Eleanor Roosevelt. He served as a member of the plate glass importing business Roosevelt and Son. He was born on September 22, 1831, and died on February 9, 1878. As a teen, Roosevelt was still very often sick. He suffered from asthma. Because of this, he undertook programs of gymnastics and weightlifting. This helped him become a lifelong advocate of exercise and the strenuous life. He always made time for physical exertions, such as hiking, riding horses, and swimming. He was tutored at home by private teachers. In 1876, Theodore entered Harvard College. He studied a variety of subjects such as German, natural history, zoology, forensics, and composition. He continued his physical endeavors, taking on boxing and wrestling as new pursuits. He fell in love with Alice Hathaway Lee, a young woman from a prominent New England banking family. They met through a friend at Harvard. They were married in October 1880. Theodore enrolled in Columbia Law School and dropped out after 1 year to begin his career in public service. Theodore was elected to the New York Assembly and served 2 terms from 1882 to 1884. On February 12th, Alice and Theodore had their daughter. 2 days later, Roosevelt's mom died from typhoid fever, and his wife died of kidney disease within a few hours at the same house. The next few months, Theodore was devastated and threw himself into political work to get away from the grief. He left his daughter in care of his sister and fled to the Dakota Badlands. Eventually, he marries Edith Kermit Caro in 1886, and they soon have 5 more children. Theodore's book, The Naval War of 1812, was published. In 1897, William McKinley appoints Roosevelt the Assistant Secretary of the Navy. The Republican convention nominated Roosevelt for vice president by acclamation. Roosevelt campaigned for Republican presidential candidate William McKinley. He traveled more than 21,000 miles on a special campaign train, made 100 speeches, and met more than 3 million people in person. He spoke in 567 cities in 24 states. The Republican ticket overwhelmed Democrats, adding up to an 861,757 vote plurality, which was the largest Republican victory in years. In September 1901, an assassin's bullet kills President McKinley. This makes Roosevelt, the vice president at the time, now the leader of the White House, and he becomes the 26th president. On October 3, 1902, Theodore met with miners and coalfield operators from the anthracite coalfields in Pennsylvania in an attempt to settle the coal strike. On October 15, 1902, a national emergency was averted when he found a compromise to the anthracite coal strike that threatened the heating supplies of most homes. On February 4, 1903, Congress followed the lead of Roosevelt and passed legislation that gave birth to the Department of Commerce and Labor, as well as the Bureau of Corporations. On March 4, 1905, he was inaugurated as the 26th President of the U.S. after his term for filling in McKinley's place. In June 1905, he offered his good offices as mediator between Russia and Japan, asking the belligerents to nominate plenipotentiaries to negotiate on the conditions of peace. This is when he wins his Nobel Peace Prize.
The present condition of living cannot be accepted as satisfactory. There are too many who do not prosper enough, and of the few who prosper greatly, there are certainly some whose prosperity does not mean welfare for the country. Rational progressives, no matter how radical, are well aware that nothing the government can do will make some men prosper, and we heartily approve the prosperity, no matter how great, of any man if it comes because of his rendering service to the community. But we wish so to shape conditions that a greater number of the small men in business, the decent, respectable, industrious, and energetic men who conduct